Hi, everybody, and welcome back to my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. For those of you that don't know, I've been doing this for over 3 years now, and this is part like 112 or whatever, I don't even remember. But yeah, I read a lot of fanfic, and I'm going back over the ones that I've read a long time ago that I kept on my favorites list on the first site that I started reading them on, and seeing if they match with my taste now. That's like 10 plus years later. We've gone through a lot, so we're up to stories published in 2012 with Imperfect Cherry Blossom by Super Dude 9. And this is a Haruhi Suzumiya crossover with the Toho series. Toho series being bullet hell shooter game thing. I never really actually have played any of these, and one of my friends has, but so I don't actually know much about the thing. But this story is basically Kyon, after the events of the snow incident, basically just ends up in Toho for one reason or another, and then just keeps getting dragged back there for incident after incident. This story itself reminds me a lot of Kyon Big Damn Hero, in that there's a lot of plot and intrigue happening here with good fight scenes and a lot of world building, and it's also really, really long. This story is over 1 million words, which is, to put into the perspective of the longest book everybody always talks about, is it's more than 2 War and Pieces. I think War and Peace was 500k words, but let me check let's look it up right now. This is so dumb, but I want to see how many. I want to do this. Yeah, 587. Okay, so it's not quite 2 War and Pieces, but it's up there. But anyway, yeah, there's a lot here, and it's still getting updated. Recently, it got updated as recently as September. So after 9 years, it's still getting updated. That's amazing. But because there's a lot of content here, there's a lot of finished content here as well. This story is broken up into basically they do multiple arcs. Each incident, which is I believe how the Toho games are described, one game is an incident. So they have I think 3 complete incidents here and a 4th one that's being worked on. And so everything feels finalized. It's essentially you have 3 novels plus a 4th instead of really being one series. Instead of just being one story going on, it's 3 complete stories and 1 4th one that's going on right now. I will say that this does require knowledge of Haruhi going in, because the Haruhi bits are not explained, but because Kyon is our main character, all the Toho stuff gets explained to you, so you don't need to know anything about the Toho franchise to keep up with this. And reading this is a huge time investment, obviously, because it's over 1 million words. So I would say if you go through the first 5 chapters or so, and if you find yourself enjoying it, like I did, you could stay on and keep going for this huge story, and it's entertaining bit, which you will definitely find a lot of interesting with the cool descriptions of how the Danmaku, which is the bullet hell stuff, fights go on, and twists to what the actual story of Toho stuff is, because he gets into these incidents but also changes how the incidents play out. So it's all pretty interesting. I really did enjoy this. It's going to stay on my list. All right. Number 2 is Creation Reborn by Shinji the Good Sharer. And this is a Harry Potter crossover with the Marvel comic universe. And this story is basically Harry is the son of God. Not God, but the God. The one above all. The Marvel God. And he actually, after he was born, was apparently attacked or something, and then broke up into the Infinity Stones, which as soon as the story starts, when he gets to Hogwarts, he just reabsorbs and regains his memories, which leads to him just basically being super cold and like motionless, and then just jumping and meeting his many aunts like Emma Frost and Floor's grandmother. I just did not connect with this story at all, with this character and the writing. It felt really boring as Harry just is constantly just up and leaving conversations whenever he wants to. Like, I kind of get it. Like, he's so powerful now that he doesn't have time to deal with assholes and stuff like that. And he just, lots of people love to have that ability of, hey, there's a guy dicking you around or being stupid, you could just leave the conversation and stuff. But I just don't have anything to say about it. It just was really bland. I did not connect or get attached to any of these people. And because of that, I just couldn't focus on anything in the story. And everything just left my mind after a couple seconds after I read it. So this is going to fall off my list. Next is Squad 7 and their Accidental Instructor by OTT-False. And this is another story that is an author taking one of Rorschach Blot's ideas from one of his many collections and expanding it into his own story that doesn't get very far, but still adds enough to make it worth its own look and separate from the original tidbits. Basically, like Hunting for Potions, the story consists of the original chapters made by Rorschach Blot, and the rest of it is additions and stuff to add in between the bits that Rorschach Blot was jumping to and a couple bit extra that is similar enough in style and tone that I doesn't feel jarring to write, and I found it funny and entertaining enough in the same way as the original. Not much else to say. I'd read this again, and it's going to stay on my list. Alright, next is the Handbook of Elf Psychology by evansentranced. This is a sequel to Fantastic Elves and Where to Find Them, which I talked about, I think a couple videos ago. And that one I had basically said it just felt like a prologue to a bigger story, or like it very much, because it was just like his small journeys right before he gets sucked into Hogwarts. And this is the story after that, which is like a couple years of Hogwarts. I don't know if I was just in a better mood this time reading the other one, or if it's actually better, but I enjoyed this more. Still wasn't completely on board with this. I feel like if the previous story and this one were combined, I'd probably be fine with keeping it on my list if both of them were combined. But as they are individually, I don't think either of them are really worth revisiting on their own, either of them. And this one ends with another sequel hook that doesn't even materialize, so I'm just gonna get rid of the series. It's falling off my list. Number 5 is Alternate Beginnings of an Uzumaki by Rack. And this is, again, one of the many collections of ideas that an author had that never got expanded into full stories. This one focused on Naruto. As with other collections of this type, I enjoyed a lot of this. I like this author a lot, and I enjoyed most of these ideas that he had. A lot of these are more than just their starting scene, so it's enough to give a feel of an actual story that could have been, and enough to be interesting and a good mix between serious and funny that it keeps it from being stale and stops it from being just frustrating with just only serious ideas. And I just really enjoy this author's writing, and as with most of these, I like this a lot. It's going to stay on my list. Okay, number 6 is That Which Should Not Be by Angry Santo. And this is a one-shot Fate Stay Night fic that's basically it's just like the one scene of like the beginning of it, really, where Shiro gets raised instead of by Kiritsugu, and Emiya, he gets raised by a Call of Cthulhu character, that's been passed into internet infamy. Like, he gets raised by Old Man Henderson. It makes no sense if you don't know this character, but if you do, you'll get a few chuckles out of it. I wouldn't say it's like super hilarious or anything. It's really just like if you know this character and the joke, then you'll get a few laughs. I did, and yeah, I know it's dumb to keep that on my list and stuff, but I enjoyed it enough that I wouldn't mind seeing this one every now and again to be reminded of the character. It's gonna stay on my list. But again, if you don't know who Old Man Henderson is, this is gonna make no sense to you and not gonna matter at all, and you could skip it. Right, and the last one for this video is A New Beginning by Jinx777. And this is a Naruto crossover with Teen Titans, where, you know, Naruto finds out that everybody's betrayed him and he doesn't want to live in this world, and he uses a jutsu, like he goes to leave the village and teleports and ends up in Jump City, where he makes a bookstore and starts dating Raven from Teen Titans. So I don't know whether it was if it really was my mood, but I just like this story a lot more than I probably should. You know, it's a story focused fic that doesn't have any complete arcs, feels more like 3/4 of a season of a show, and there's a bunch of plot points that are hinted at but poorly explained, with others kind of being dumb, with like Gaara showing up at being teleported at the same time as Naruto and landing basically just outside Jump City, but then not meeting each other for 3 years. And like there's a lot of dumb stuff like that, and also less satisfying things, like I said, about the stories not being no arcs being complete or anything. And yet I had no problem enjoying this fic from start to finish. You know, it has a lot of problems, but the dialogue and the character interaction and drama I really enjoyed. The lack of a larger arc is mitigated by a lot of like smaller episodic stories that all wrap up and yet keep the story and cast growing and flowing. And even the smattering of fights that happen are entertaining enough that I just really still enjoy this, you know, even though it's all incomplete. Like, I'd say give it a look for a couple chapters and get to at least chapter 3 before deciding if you don't like this or not. But I did enjoy this, and it's going to stay on my list. Alright, and there we go. That's another 7 stories down. So, fanfiction status time. I've now read 787 stories, with 377 of them staying on my list. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I leave the links to these stories in the description, as well as a link to my fanfiction.net profile and a link to a forum where I also post these if you want to read them, or like go through the whole list instead of watching it in a video form or listening to it, essentially, if you want to do it that way. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.